Okay, we're live. Hello, everyone out there, and welcome to Pitch Wars Live. This is our last show tonight before the submission window opens. And I think everyone behind the scenes is very excited. Can't wait to get submissions coming in over the next couple of days. I'm Lee Marr, and I'm filling in for Nikki Roberti tonight as your host. I'm a YA mentor, and I'm represented by Alana Roth-Parker at Laura Dale Literary Agency. And this year in YA, I'm looking for contemporary, spec fic, mysteries, thriller, light horror, retellings, and historical with a twist to it, if you have that. If you're still trying to make up your mind about YA mentors, you can find my wish list online. Tonight we have the wonderful Kay Kazul Wolf, who's playing our Twitter captain for us. So throughout the show, you can ask our panel of mentors here questions using the hashtag AskMentor. So with that, I will let our wonderful group of mentors introduce themselves to you. We have a mixed category of mentors tonight, so mentors from all age groups represented. So Heather, we can start with you.
Hi, I'm Heather Cashman. I am the Managing Director of Pitch Wars, and I'm also going to be a co-mentor this year with Mikkel George. We are YA mentors, and she really loves historical. She loves contemporary. I am not sure that I don't like anything. So anyway, we do have a wish list on both of our sites. And what else about me? I'm an agent intern, and I write YA speculative fiction. So that's me.
Lee, do you want me to go ahead and go?
Yep.
Okay, great. So I'm Emily, and I am represented by Felicia F., who has her own literary agency. And I am mentoring adult. The key element to what I'm mentoring is that it has to have a strong love story. So that's really important to me. Beyond that, it's got to have something paranormal or supernatural. So spec fic, urban fantasy, fantasy romance. It could be women's fiction as long as there is a speculative element to it. And dystopian fiction is also just fine. And my second novel, The Dreamkeeper's Daughter, just came out this past Tuesday. So I'm pretty excited about that.
I guess I'll go next. Hi, everybody. I'm Jessica Bayless. I'm going to be mentoring this year in the middle grade category. I'm a YA and middle grade author. I'm represented by Uva Stender from Triada US Literary Agency. I am looking for anything with thrills, adventure, anything creepy and dark in the middle grade area, and outright horror. I love paranormal, so anything with lots of tension and action will be exciting for me. And I have two books that are coming out in the next several months. I have, both are YA. I have a novella with Leap Books. It's a horror. And I also have my debut novel coming out in the spring with Sky Pony Press. It's called 10 Past Closing.
Okay, so I'll go next. Hi, everyone. I'm Amy Trueblood, and I am mentoring YA this year. And what I am looking for is historical, contemporary YA. I'm really big into family, sibling, drama, that type of thing. I come from a huge family. I'm the youngest of 5, so I get that, and I love that in stories. I also love mysteries, and I love thrillers, twists, reliable narrators. If you've seen my wish list, you know I have a thing for Veronica Mars, so anything with a Veronica Mars type twist is all for me. Again, I write YA. My debut is a YA historical. It's called Nothing But Sky. It comes out in March of 2018. I'm just so excited and thrilled, and that's why I have a big place in my heart for YA historical. So if you've got great YA historical, I'll take that too. This is my second year of being a mentor. I had a blast last year, and that's why I'm back this year. So I'm very excited.
Hi everyone, my name is Katie Hanna. I'm mentoring adult this year with Jamie Nord, who's been my critique partner for 13 years. We are looking for romance plus, and I say plus, I mean horror, science fiction, fantasy. I personally write science fiction, fantasy, and horror, so that's where my interests lie. And since we both are looking for a bit of romance, Jamie a lot more than me, we decided to combine them and want a really nice balance. It's on my blog, katiehanna.com, and you can see our wish list. And I'm a massive Buffy fan, if that tells you anything. I have a trilogy out called The Domino Project, and I've been an agent intern and am a freelance editor. Okay.
Hi, I am Amanda Rawson-Hill, and I'm mentoring middle grade this year with my co-mentor, Cindy Baldwin, and we are looking for anything that'll make us cry. We love heartfelt, mostly contemporary, magical realism, light fantasy, nothing on the adventure side. Mostly we just want beautiful writing. If you have poetry, we want it. Yeah, I am represented by Elizabeth Harding at Curtis Brown, and my debut middle grade novel is coming out in 2018, and it's titled The 3 Rules of Everyday Magic, and it was actually my 2015 Pitchworks book.
Hi, I'm Stacy Trombley. I am a young adult contemporary author with Entangled. My debut book came out in 2015 titled Naked, and I have another that just came out this year called Pushing the Boundaries. I am a co-mentor with Rebecca Sky, who's awesome, and we're looking for anything, really any genre, but something dark and gritty. We love anti-heroes, something high concept. That's kind of what we're going for. If it fits that, then we'll take just about anything.
Excellent. Well, thank you all for being on with us tonight. Very excited to have such a fun group. So we've been getting a lot of questions on the feed tonight and over the past couple of days around submissions, about how to submit. Some of the recent ones tonight included, will addressing our queries to Dear Ultra Fabulous Mentor count against us? And one person asked if they should mention anything they have in common with the mentors in their queries, if there should be any personalization. So Heather, can you take a minute just to talk about the do's and don'ts for actual submission when it comes time for that?
Sure. Okay, so I've answered about 100 emails on this subject, so I pretty much know the answers. As far as how you address, dear whoever in your thing, just put Dear Mentor. This is going to be your profession, and even though Pitch Wars is a contest and it's something that we do as a contest, it is still kind of a first step into a profession, and so you need to be professional about it. So just Dear Mentor is perfect. No one is going to think that you're blasé because you said Dear Mentor. What we are going to be looking at is your query, and that's really what you need to sell us. One thing that I have been telling everybody, if you really feel the need to send a message, you can address all of the mentors at the bottom of your query. You can put their first name, and then you can put a short note to each one of them if you want. But you have to do it to all 4. And there are mentors who don't appreciate it because we already have to read a ton of stuff as we go through submissions. So, but there are other mentors who say they like it. So if they, in that case, I would say if they have specifically asked you not to do that, we would ask you to not give them more to read. So that should be on their wish list if they don't want it. Lee, did I cover the questions pretty well, or is there more?
I think so. I think that covers it, especially just that it's one version of your query that you send to all. So yeah. Any personalization has to be all or nothing to everybody or to nobody. And mentors aren't expecting it either. So it's not a big deal if you don't have a note to personalize your query.
Right.
So next question. Oh, sorry. Did you have anything else?
Well, did you want me to talk at all about the sub window and what it's going to look like, or is that?
Sure. Do you want to remind people of the dates that it's open and where they go to submit?
Okay, so it'll open at midnight tonight, 12:01, whatever. It will open at midnight tonight, and it will be open until August the 6th at 10 p.m. I absolutely delete the entries that come in after 10. And there will be one query that you upload, and there are drop downs for the mentors that you choose. So it all goes to the same person. And let me just clarify, when I said that you can give them a note at the bottom, it really, really needs to be as brief as possible if you do that. Not to like give anybody any ideas of, writing a novel in the bottom of your query. Okay, that's it.
Awesome.
Hey,
so
Lee,
I'm sure everyone, yeah.
Sorry, can I just add one thing?
Mm-hmm.
I know this came up a lot on the Ask Mentor hashtag, and I think people were worried about mentors seeing the order in which their name came up on the list when selected. And for me, and I know for a lot of mentors, it doesn't matter what order. Some people do it in alpha order. Some people do it, just, I don't know, in random order, whatever. So just to let people know that we aren't offended if we're listed fourth or we're listed third or whatever. I just think that that's something that we should point out, because I know that came up quite a bit on the Ask Mentor hashtag. If you'd be offended if you were listed fourth or last or whatever, and we know it's random and it's not a big deal. For me, I'm just honored that you picked me, so I'm totally cool with it. But I know it was a question that did come up that people were worried about, so I just wanted to jump in and say that.
Yeah. Thank you. No, that's a really good point, and I'm sure people are wondering out there. So thank you for addressing that. So the next question we've got tonight, what is the one thing you wish you knew before you started your journey as a writer? Stacy, do you want to kick us off?
Sure. I'm actually going to take a little twist on it and say nothing, because I kind of feel like that it's this long journey where you have a lot of things that you have to learn. You can't learn it all at once. And so if there was one thing, it would be just that it's going to take a long time and that it's going to be difficult. But I think I knew that. So you have a long learning process. There's going to be things you learn along the way, mistakes that you're going to make, and those are lessons. So just take it one step at a time.
So I guess I'm going next, and I think the one thing that I wish I learned relates a little bit to it being a long journey, which is I was so focused on getting my first book published, and it felt like such a miracle when my first novel was published, that it didn't occur to me that writing a second novel might be more challenging rather than less. And the second novel that I wrote after my first one was published did not get accepted by my publisher. That was a hard lesson to learn. And I took those lessons and I went away and wrote a third one that did get accepted. And so I guess the one thing that I learned was that it's not a magic bullet, and just because you do it once doesn't mean the same process that applied to your first novel will apply to subsequent ones. And so I really learned that each novel is different, and to be patient with yourself and kind to yourself and trust the process, and it will happen for you if you just keep working.
Sorry. So when I first started writing, I wrote a picture book in like the middle of the night, And I woke up the next day and started sending it to agents. And so I think if I could go back and learn one thing, it would be not to do that. And then on a more serious note, I think if there was one thing that I could have known at the beginning, I think it would have been nice to know how much writing would change me as a person and just kind of become this huge part of who I am. I had no idea when I started that it would do that.
Okay, I think the one thing, if I had to think about it, because I do agree with the sentiment about kind of how you have to go down the path and make mistakes and learn, but I think the one thing that I really wish I would have known was how to reach out and meet people in the writing community and become a part of the writing community. That's why I love Pitch Wars so much, because it really connects you with people who are on the same path and want the same goals as you. And I can't say enough about how much my writing friends mean to me now, not only the ones that are local, but the ones that are my CPs who live in, you know, other parts of the country, who lift me up when I'm feeling bad and, you know, spur me on when I get a rejection or whatever. So my best advice is, if you're starting out when you're new to this, is try to get involved in the writing community, make friends, because they are going to be your best friends in the good times and in the bad, definitely.
And I definitely agree with what Amy just said. I would have definitely reached out to other writers sooner. Another thing that I think I wish I had known was that not all feedback that you get is necessarily good. Finding good critique partners can be really hard. So for someone, especially for someone who's writing and has been writing for that long, and you're not terribly certain of your own voice and your own process, just being mindful that all feedback is just one opinion, and don't let other people's influence change your voice until you have a good sense of you know, where you're at and what your voice should be.
I wish I'd have known not only how time consuming it can be to, I guess, practice your art, but how hard it is. Like it's hard, but you still love it, but it's still hard, and you have to put all this work into it. And I was lucky, I found critique partners back in 2004, but I did find one that was not right, and it took me about 6 years to get rid of the bad advice, just like Jessica just said. The bad advice I got was that you must write every day, and you must write at least 500 words every day. And I tried and I tried, and oh my God, I wrote the worst crap in the world trying to get those words on the paper. It was horrible, and no one will ever see it. And can we say 17 points of view? So, yeah. Oh, and tense change mid-book. Thank you. Yeah. So, no, not everybody's advice is right. You need to find, I wish I'd known that I had to find my path on my own, and that not everybody's path is the same. There you go. That's what I was trying to say.
I totally agree. Everyone's path is the same. I think the one thing that I wish I had known is that writing is like having a kid. Like if you know everything before you start out, you would never do it. Because, you know, they break your heart, and they give you the most joy of anything in the whole world. And that's how writing is for me. And I feel like if I had known beforehand the heartbreak that it could bring, I wouldn't have done it. But at the same time, the joy that it brings me, and the amazing experience it is to know other writers and to have all those things in my life, that is worth everything that I've suffered. So there's this kind of balance, but I think that it's almost better not to know anything going into it, because it's just how you're gonna do it and how you're gonna experience it. And I think that's the fascinating part of it. And so don't listen to anybody, just write.
Excellent advice. That, as Heather ended it, we should not listen to any of you on. But thank you guys for sharing those things. That's very insightful, what you wish you had known. So our next question comes from Twitter. And I think it's Allie Penn who asks, do you have a point of view preference, and how do you feel about dual or multi-point of view stories? And while we're talking about this, let's also talk about how we pick points of view, advice for when you do choose to do a dual or multi-point of view story, and kind of expand a bit here with all of the experience we've got on the chat tonight. KT, with your 17 points of view, I'm going to toss it over to you.
You don't really want to do that. That was a big not good. Okay, we'll just forget about that. I really love that story. It's never going to happen, but yeah. My book that you can read, it starts with 2 point of views, and into the second and third book it goes into 3. I feel that if you have a point of view that cannot be witnessed by one of your other characters, so you can't tell that point of view through somebody else's eyes or through your main character's eyes, then you need that point of view if it's necessary to move the story along. I've had people before who've had point of views, and you're just kind of, well, but that person literally just saw that person do that, so why is he recounting it in their point of view? It can lead to a lot of repetition. So you really need to look at your point of views and go, is this necessary? I may love this character to death, but does this character specifically need their own point of view? Like, is it necessary for the book? Otherwise, I actually, for a very long time, as Heather can attest to, I had a big problem with dual first point of view, like a huge problem. My brain would just not wrap around a book with 2 first point of views, but Heather cured me of that. So if it's well written, I can handle the 2 first person point of views. So, and I have no problem with multi point of views, but they have to be necessary. So that's me.
I don't really have a preference. I love books in first and third, and I love books with a dual point of view or multiple point of view. One of the other Pitch Wars mentors, Laura Chauvin, wrote one with 18 points of view. It was an entire classroom, and she did it great. It was awesome. But I do agree with Katie that they have to be necessary, and each one needs its own arc. I think that's what's really important. Last year, we actually, we mentored Corey Leonardo, and we actually made her add 2 more points of view. And we did this because, number one, for marketability, because it was an animal story. And so we thought if she had some human point of views, it would make it more marketable, which was true. But number 2, because she had all these humans in the story, and at the very end, they have all these nice realizations, but we haven't seen them grow into these realizations because they had no points of view, and we were just getting it all from this animal. And so we said, look, you have everything here for a character arc for these people, but we don't feel it at the end. And so we made her add those 2 points of view because it was necessary for that realization at the end. So yeah, it needs to be necessary, and it needs to have a character arc. And yeah, that's my advice.
So yes to everything that everybody said so far. And then also I think I would add that sometimes it depends on genre. Like a lot of the time in the romance genre, you will see the male point of view, whereas not always, but often in women's fiction, you might not necessarily, because the story is about the progression and the arc of the female character in women's fiction. And if you pulled out the love story, her story would still be equally vital. Whereas in romance, if you pull out the love story, the point of it kind of collapses. I love multiple points of view, both of my novels are written in multiple points of view. The first one in 3, the second in 2, but there was a very deliberate reason for that. Like Katie said, it has to really be necessary, and it has to show you something that you would not be able to see otherwise. So in my first book, the 3 characters were literally in 3 different places geographically, and you got information by being with them in those places that you could never get if they were together, and then ultimately they all collided. So I would really second that. Don't do it just to do it. There needs to be either an emotional reason to do it, or a plot-based reason to do it, or a genre-based reason to do it.
Okay, so I'll say I do not have a preference for POV. My book that's coming out in March is First Person Past. The book I wrote after that is Dual POV, First Person Past, and then my latest, which is actually adult, which is totally new for me, but I have this thing about wanting to push myself, is Third Person Past, but Dual POV. So I'm really big on pushing yourself and challenging yourself, but I would say my biggest thing about multiple POV that I see when I judge contests and things like that is that there's not enough distinction between the voices. So I'd say if you want to write dual POV, if that's something that you do, I really have to recommend that you read a lot of it, see how people do distinctive voices in dual or multiple POV, just so that when you go from chapter to chapter, you immediately know who's talking. Because a lot of times you'll read books and you have to go back and flip to the beginning of the chapter to be like, oh, whose voice is this? So I would definitely say if you are going to write dual POV or multiple POV, make sure you're doing a lot of reading, a lot of research, and make sure that you're making sure that each person has a distinctive voice. And I agree with the character arc too. There has to be a reason why each person is in that story, and each of them have to have their own developmental arc for it to work. I saw a question that came up a lot on the Ask Mentor hashtag, which was, well, how do I write a query for dual POV or for multiple POV? And my advice is now and will always be, go and find books in the bookstore that use dual POV or multiple POV and read the back cover. There are lots of people out there that do it really, really well. And I think that's a really big help in being able to see how you attack multiple POV in a query. Okay, hope that helps.
I agree with what everybody, I have no preference at all. I've written books in first and third. I actually sometimes even write books where I alternate between first and third, sometimes even in terms of tense. And I'm big into multi-POV, dual, as well as single. I think the key when thinking about first versus third POV, it is sort of like, what kind of level of immersion do you want your narrator to take on? So if you're trying to decide if a book is better suited for maybe first versus third, third gives you a little bit more leeway to let your narrator voice speak and to describe some things that perhaps you would actually not be able to show from your character's point of view, depending on, you know, who your character is. So in the middle grade space, you've got some very young folks where perhaps a narrator adds an element of description or of insight that maybe a child's thoughts wouldn't actually show. And then obviously, depending on the different kinds of characters and in the kind of story that you're writing, you might also opt for third versus first. So I like in tight, tense moments, forward thriller action to use first. Although I love writing in first past when I want to have a very like snarky kind of fun, like, let me just sort of tell you about like what was going on, and very conversational. And in horror, I actually often like third, because horror involves a lot of these like creepy things that are happening that your character doesn't necessarily observe, but that you want your reader to see. So if there's a lot of stuff happening that you want the reader to know about, but perhaps one of your characters isn't filtering it, especially in horror where you're building up some dread, you know, or you want to put in a little interlude, I think third person works well for that as well. So I'm open to anything. No preferences here.
I agree. I don't have like a huge preference on first versus third, past versus present. I do all of it. My current whip is third person present, which is actually kind of weird, but so I can take any of it. Just kind of depends on what fits for the book. As far as multiple point of views, the only thing that I've ever written has always been dual point of view, back and forth, one chapter, one chapter, one chapter, one chapter. But obviously it can be done in all kinds of ways, and I'm okay with all kinds of different things. But I do think that, especially as if you're masterful and you know what you're doing, do whatever you want. But I think a lot of times we just kind of like disperse in different point of views in random places, and I think that it does help, especially if you're new to it, to have some kind of pattern in your head, even if you don't stick to it perfectly. But it can be 3 chapters in this character and in this character's point of view, and then 1 chapter in this, or it can be every other, or it can be 2 in this person, then 2 in this person. It can be kind of whatever, but to keep that in mind is helpful, so that you can still lay it out in a structure that kind of makes sense. And I think that's all.
All right, Heather, did you want to talk about that one too? You good? Okay. So we have another question here from Twitter. Mimi Powell asks, what would be something in a submission that would make you automatically put it in the no folder? What are your red flags? KT?
Okay, so for me, well, obviously if I shouldn't have got the submission in the first place, if it's not what I'm mentoring, which isn't much right now, but probably historical or like a military sci-fi. I'm not going to be able to help you. So it's, Jamie and I are not, that's not our expertise. So that would get an automatic no, because I can't do anything with it. Otherwise, if it's obvious, even in the first chapter, that the writing isn't polished, that there's things missing, that the writing is like, it's, how can you say, it's not, it hasn't had critique partners, like it's not at that level that, like I will have to start at a much more base level than I need to be able to get it done in 2 months. Sometimes you can just tell it's just not going to work, because there's going to be too much work that you have to do. We only have 2 months. It's, we're not spending a year doing this. So sometimes you do have to into consideration. There was the trope question too. I would be very, very hard pressed to take on a very badly done love triangle. I don't mind if it's like if it works organically, but when there's a character dropped in there and they're dropped in there specifically to be that triangle, that if that's their like purpose, that I can't do that. That just doesn't work for me. So and otherwise, I actually made a list. And insta love, I prefer there to be a little more, unless it's magic. Like if there's a magical potion or something, then that's different, because that's magic. But I have to admit, if there was a fairy tale twist, even if it had bad writing, if it was like a new and interesting fairy tale twist, I might still give that a chance, because Jamie and I both love twisted fairy tales. So anyway, I'll shut up now.
As far as auto knows, there's not going to be anything that I don't go and read the pages, unless I read your query and it's like for a young adult. And so I will always go and read the pages, especially after last year. The girl I picked, I read her query and I was like, ooh, this is not going to be what I'm looking for. And then I read the pages and it was. So I learned my lesson. But I can tell you certain words, when they pop up in queries, I go in kind of a lot more skeptical that I'm going to like it. And just because of my preferences of what I know I'm going to like. And so when I see things like goes on a journey or fights in a battle or saves the world, like I know that's not really what I'm looking for. So if you have things like journey, adventure, you got to make sure that you show me there's a lot of heart in there, because those are not automatic no's, but they're very easy no's. as far as tropes in middle grade, I don't really know a ton of tropes in middle grade, especially ones I'd say no to. But I will say that I saw that someone had this theory of things that make a Newbery winner, and it was small town, an animal, and someone dies, and possibly something else. And so if that's a middle grade trope, I want it. Small town, animal, someone dies. That sounds right up my alley.
I don't think I have anything specific that I'm just automatically, nope, not doing it. But I do have one thing that's going to very easily put you in my no column, and that is not standing out. If it's a story that I've seen a bunch of times, something that just kind of blends in. I've had sometimes I'll have a story, I'll see it 3 times in my inbox, and there's not anything specific that makes me say, I'm curious how they do that. It's the same as all the others. At least it seems like it from the query and pages. So you really need to showcase whatever it is that makes you special, that story special. Even just a point of view, a way of thinking that can be in your writing, that can be a twist in your story, it can be a setting, but just something that really makes you stand out. Otherwise, that will be an easy, well, there's nothing there that's pulling me in, so.
That's actually almost verbatim what I was going to say, is that, I think that it's so easy for things to get into our collective consciousness and not even realize that they're in there. And suddenly, particularly if you're reading a lot in your genre, and that's why some people advise you to read a ton in your genre before you write in your genre, and some people say, don't ever do that, because then stuff's going to get in your head and you're going to put that stuff on the page without even realizing that it's not your own voice. And so everyone has to do what's right for them. But I do think that it's really important, however you figure it out, to know what's being published in whatever genre you're writing and whatever market you're writing for right now. And if you are putting forth the same story that has been put forth, 10 times before recently, there needs to be something to make it stand out for the crowd in order to have it be something that's going to pop up in my inbox and say, yes, this one. Aside from that, lack of a conflict, being unclear, what the obstacles are, what the stakes are, what the story is really all about. And beyond that, of course, like Katie said, writing that's not polished, tons of spelling errors, I will just think, okay, you're just not ready yet.
Okay, I don't have a lot of auto no's. I think the biggest thing for me is just asking people to really read each mentor's wish list carefully. I got a bunch of submissions. About 15% of my submissions last year were for things that weren't even on my list. So I specifically wrote this year, no fantasy, no sci-fi, just because there's so many great YA mentors this year that do that so well. So my advice would be to please make sure you're reading the mentor wish lists very, very carefully. I think within what I'm asking for, I think the only thing that would really be an auto no for me is if I read your query or if I read in your pages that I really feel like your character doesn't have any agency. Like I feel like everything's happening to your character, but your character is not taking control of their own story, and that they're reacting versus acting. I see that quite a lot, especially when I look at YA contemporary stories. So I really want to make sure that if you're sending me YA contemporary, that your main character has a goal and there are stakes, and that just from the beginning, first line, that I understand that that character has agency and that we know right off the bat that this is going to be their story to tell rather than having the story be told about them, if that makes sense. So that would be my only auto no, is if I really feel like your character is not driving the main plot of the story.
It's a lot of great advice around multiple point of view and picking point of view when you're starting your story. So next up, we have a very important question that came in, actually, that I definitely think we all need to address. Nicole Lynn Hoffs, I think it is, asked, what is one of your favorite writing and editing snacks? And as a Hufflepuff, I take this very seriously. So let's do this just lightning round style. I'll go first. I love Raisinets when I'm working. Heather, what about you?
For me, it's Nutella and strawberries all the way.
I'm coffee and pumpkin chocolate chip cookies, but if it's a really special day, then a donut or two.
Coffee, and this is going to sound weird. Oh, sorry, was it Amy? I'll shut up.
Go, 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 go.
Coffee. Sorry. Coffee, and this will sound weird, but I love getting like raspberries and blueberries and blackberries and a tiny, tiny drizzle of heavy whipping cream and spinning them around and eating those. And they're just, it's delicious.
Okay, it's dinner time here, and you guys are making me hungry now. I don't write usually without an Arnold Palmer. If you don't know what that is, it's half iced tea, half lemonade. I love that. It's always what I write with. And I do drink coffee in the morning too. I'm a caffeine girl. I am just a Red Vines crazy junkie. I love Red Vines, not Twizzlers. Twizzlers taste like cherry coated plastic to me. And I know there are a lot of people who live in the South who are going to want to, you know, put an axe to me for that one. But Red Vines all the way for my candy treat.
Maybe I'm not as much of a Hufflepuff as I thought, but I don't snack when I'm writing or revising. I have a very limited amount of time when I'm writing, and I have 45 minutes, and so I can't pause to move my hands to anything. But yeah, sorry.
Mine is a chai tea latte, which you can't see because it's just in a mug. But yeah, I love chai tea. I like cookies and stuff, but I can eat that anytime. I don't know if that's specific to writing.
Excellent. Thank you. I'm now very hungry. But it looks like we have someone else that has joined us. Brenda Drake, are you out there? She may still be trying to join us. All right, so Brenda will be joining us shortly, it seems. And while Brenda's getting connected, we have seen a lot of questions come in about request strategy. A lot of people wanting to know what you're going to request, how fast you're going to request, if you're going to request a partial or a full, or how long throughout the sub window you'll be making requests. Will you make all of your requests day one? Will you wait until the last week? So let's talk request strategy. Amanda, I will turn it to you.
So my request strategy is going to be a little bit different because I'm in a co-mentorship. So at least last year, if I read something that I like and I would like to request more, then I put it in a special folder for Cindy to read. And I usually send her a little text message like, hey, I like this one. And then if she agrees that we should request more, then we request more. We always request 50 pages first. And then if we still really like it at the end of 50 pages, then we'll request a full and a synopsis. That we do that so that we can kind of manage expectations a little bit, and we also don't feel guilty for not reading the whole thing. As far as what makes us request, gosh, there are, just like what Stacy said earlier, it's just something that stands out. A lot of times for us, it's this writing that just sucks us in and is so beautiful, and like little turns of phrase that make us gasp. And last year, the two people I picked, one had this gorgeous poetry and the other one just had this beautiful voice. But she also had this unique premise that I hadn't seen before. And so both those things, the premise and the writing, they're on this sliding scale. And it's just something you kind of feel out. And when Cindy and I know, we know.
Is it me? Okay. So Jamie and I are also co-mentors. We've been doing this for 3 years now. I think the first year we co-mentored, we co-mentored like a random pick and had our own mentees. But we have a whole system worked out in our inbox. So we have specific tags, we have maybe folders, sometimes, each of us might pick a yes. And if yeses coincide and we both have ones that say maybe, we'll probably read them a second time, discuss them, and then we decide what to pick. So it's a very involved process because for two of us to work on it, we both have to love it. So, and we work very, very well together. We have worked together for years, and our compliments, God, wow, I'm mixing everything up. Our strengths and weaknesses complement each other. So we know what we can help something with. When we do request, we usually do a full and a synopsis, mainly because if we really love it, we don't want to stop reading. So if I get to page 50 and have to wait to read the rest of it, I'm just going to go insane because I'm one of those, just another chapter people, 4 o'clock in the morning. So, so that's we will wait. I can't see us making any requests in the first few days. So there you go.
I'm a little more indulgent. If I find something that I really want to read, I'll probably ask for it. But I try to hold back a little bit because if I don't, then I will request 50 things. And I won't be able to read them all. So I try to hold back, but I probably request something early just because that happens. But I also have a co-mentor, and so it is a little complicated, but we do tend to be on the same page. At least last year, we liked everything all the same, so it worked out. And hopefully this year will be the same. We have a love folder that will and I say, yes, I want to read, and I'll send it to her, make sure she's okay with it, and then we'd request. This year I'm going on vacation on August 13th. And so my goal is to have the manuscripts that we're going to requested then so that I can just read manuscripts on vacation instead of having to read queries. That doesn't mean that I won't request later if I don't find something that we fall in love with in those manuscripts. We may go back and dig a little deeper. So it doesn't mean you definitely know, but I'm hoping to be able to be on the full manuscript stage at that point.
This is my first time mentoring, so it's been really great hearing what everybody else does because it's giving me ideas about what I want to do. I don't know exactly what my request strategy will be. My guess is I'll get very excited and request some things kind of as I go, but I would just say if you're subbing to me, I will request right up to the very end if there's something that catches my eye. So please, if I don't request something from you early on, please don't think that means that I'm not strongly and seriously considering what you send. And something that would make me request, just something that sounds like a concept that's really, really exciting and fun and fresh, something super creepy, but just and just pages that, if I have to see what's going to happen next and I'm like, oh my God, then I will request. I don't know if I want to request fulls or do the first 50. I think I'm like some of the other folks here where if I really get excited, I'm going to want to just be able to read. But I also know that there's a time limit. So perhaps the first 50 is better so that I don't start reading full manuscripts and then not have time to read everybody's stuff. So I think that's probably how I will go about it. Feedback from anybody out there who's got tips for a first time mentor.
Okay, so I'm probably going to stay with the process that I had last year, which is I usually wait, which I know the people who sub to me are probably going to hate that. But I really like to read through the query and the first 250. And I'll just say this, if you take the time to sub to me, I'm going to read every single submission that gets sent to me. So I really want to take my time. And then what I usually do is I make a little list of the things that just catch me right off. And then I go back and I give myself usually a day or two and then read through again. And then the ones that I'm kind of not sure about, I usually request a partial, maybe a full, depends upon how I'm feeling about it. And then I always request a synopsis, and I can hear the people out there screaming and crying, synopsis, no. I'm not looking for a polished synopsis. I just, as a reader and a potential mentor, want to know where the story is going and headed. And one other thing that I do that I add is when I do ask for partials or fulls, I do kind of outline, at least from the first chapter that I've read, if I have questions or anything that I think might need to be changed. I may also include that in my request, just so you have an idea of where my head's at, what I'm thinking about for what I've read so far, so that I can make sure that you and I will be on the same page if I do decide to request your manuscript. And if I'm reading and I'm in the middle of a partial or a full, and I do have more questions or more things, I may email you intermittently and say, hey, what about this? Or what are you thinking about this? Because I really need to be on the same page with who my mentee is as far as the plan and how we're going to move forward organizational wise, because when we're done and we're at that deadline going, to the agent stage, I want you to feel like you've got the best manuscript possible. And the only way we're going to do that is if we communicate and we're on the same page. So that's usually my plan.
Excellent. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there taking notes and curious to know what your plans were around request strategy. So typically our last question of the live show is the opportunity for all the mentors to share their favorite piece of writing advice. That won't actually be the end of our show tonight, but we're going to jump to that now and give everyone a chance to share their best piece of writing advice, just kind of rapid lightning round style. So Heather, why don't you kick us off?
Never stop loving the process. That's my advice.
And my advice is don't compare yourself to other people.
My advice is practice finishing your manuscripts, because it's hard to get from beginning to the end. Beginnings are exciting, endings are exciting, but sometimes we have a hard time getting to the end and getting through that middle. And how would you expect to be really good at getting through the hard parts if you don't practice doing it? So always finish what you start.
Am I on here? Okay. Mine is going to be that your path is your path. You will start with people and they will get agents and they will get offers and their books will be out and you'll still be working on your first manuscript. Stay the course. You have your own path. You have your own journey. It's really easy sometimes to compare where you're at with other people, but you have your own plan. You have your own path. Stick to it. Keep writing. Keep improving your craft, and your time will come, I promise.
Find critique partners you can trust that are okay when they give you advice and you're like, well, and you have a great reasoned out reason for not following a piece of their advice. Usually means you have to clarify something in your book, but you have to find CPs you can trust to tell you the truth and work with you instead of, being insistent that they're right. And when you do query and when you do put your stuff out there and you get an offer, make sure you research it and you research that agent, because even if the agent is perfect for somebody else, they may not be perfect for you. And just because an agent offers doesn't mean you have to take it. So not every agent is a good agent. So make sure you do your homework.
My advice is the same advice that John Truby gives in his book, The Anatomy of Story. And I fully agree. And it's to write something that will change your life. For me, that makes a difference, because even if it gets totally rejected and just stays in a drawer, it still was important to me, and it allowed me to work through things or to look at things in a new life. And so in a new light. And so if it changes me, then even though the rejections are still hard, it's still worth it.
Well, first I want to just echo what Amy said, because that was absolutely perfect. Everyone's path is super different. But then I'm going to go and say my favorite piece of advice is from Neil Gaiman. The quote says, the only thing that you have that no one else has is you, your voice, your mind, your story. So write and draw and build and play and dance and live as only you can. Make sure your story is yours. And I think that kind of goes with what Amanda was saying too. So love what you do.
That's great. Thank you to all of our mentors joining us tonight for your wisdom and your advice. Absolutely fantastic. We have about 6 minutes left, so I am actually going to hand things over to Brenda and just see what she has to say, because I have no idea myself. Hi, Brenda.
I have no idea either. Can you guys hear me? Okay, no one's talking, so it's so weird to me. I say, everyone take your mics off, because I like a party.
Hi, Brenda! Our fearless leader.
I forget where I'm looking at you guys on the screen, and I forget to look at you on the thing, and then the earphones freak me out. So anyway, well, this was a great show, you guys. Some really good questions, some wonderful answers. I don't have much to say tonight. I did get this great cup. Let me see if you can see it in the mail. I just got back from traveling, and this cup was waiting for me, so that was exciting. So if you want to buy that, I tweeted about it earlier about the site to buy Pitch Wars stuff. I cut off all my hair, so I lost all my surprises. So I have no more surprises left. But what I do have to say is that if you're doing the scavenger hunt, keep doing that. It is, you have until August 23rd. I kept on saying August 6th, but it is to the 23rd. I just kept forgetting that part of it. I had to take that out. I don't know how you guys do that with the earphones. It's like I hear myself. It's weird. Okay, anyway, and then we do have, we are swapping this year, so people can swap. So your mentors, if they find something that they like and they can't take, they might offer it up to someone else. We will be having the wild cards, so I'll be giving 6 wild cards to our current mentors, because some of them are crazy and like to have more than one mentor for some reason. They don't have enough work to do or something. I don't know. Just kidding. See, no one's laughing. I don't like that when you guys are on.
I'm trying not to laugh too loud.
I always go, okay, that fell short. So, anyway, and then I am going to have this year, I guess this is kind of a surprise, there are some secret mentors that will be going in after the mentors pick and the wild cards are picked. They will be going in secretly, or not so secretly, because they'll have to ask the mentors if they have anything to offer them. But they'll be going through the slush and pulling out some lucky people that might not have made it if we didn't add them. So we have that this year. And we have some other fun things, like, for instance, what do we have, Heather? I forgot. Okay, no, I was trying to delay because
I know.
We can talk. You know what we have? That Amanda can.
We could have that the submission window just opened magically just now. And now our website will probably crash. We had some issues with the website. And Heather and I have been working on the website. So you're going to want to go to brenda-straight.com, and I'm going to tweet it out now. So don't go to pitchwars.org. Go to this one. So I'm going to tweet this. Oh, it went up. That was good. Okay, we're doing pretty good so far. And here it comes.
Here we go.
I expect amazing manuscripts in 2 minutes.
I expect your inbox to just start magically pulling up.
I know, right? So that's it. That's all I have, other than send in your work, and hopefully you'll get a great mentor. And if you have any questions for me, you can ask me any questions. I think have 2 minutes if you have anything you want to ask.
Let me take a look at Twitter and see if there are some Brenda questions. Any mentors have questions for Brenda?
How do you do it all?
It's called Heather Cashman.
When are you both going to get some sleep?
No, I don't think she sleeps. That's my thing. I don't think Brenda Drake sleeps.
Well, I just finished copy edits Monday. Got into town, had to do copy edits for my book that's releasing, and they just sent me galleys. So now I got to read galleys. So for proofreading. So that's cool, but it means this is closer to being a book, which is called Thunderstruck. And I'm excited about it. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I already found a few mistakes and I'm like, oops. So we'll fix those. And so, do they have any questions? Probably not. They're just like all jumping
all
over
like,
there.
Yeah.
You guys probably have everybody left the.
Nobody's watching.
Is it all over? Or you just ask?
I think one of the important things to say to people, though, is if they don't submit in the first, like, 2 hours, it's okay. They can submit at the end of the window.
True. You have till
We'll still
August
read it.
6th at 10 p.m. And I don't know about you guys, but when I was mentoring, it didn't matter if I got it the night of the submission opening or the last day of. I read everything that came into my box.
And if you need the extra time to just work on it and make it better, take that time. That's what it's there for.
Yes.
500 internal error. This website is unavailable at the moment. That's a screenshot. I'm not trying to give it. I'm not giving it extra traffic from me.
What happened just now?
Somebody on Ask Mentor showed that there's an internal error. It's unavailable at the moment.
Oh my gosh.
I knew that.
So we should probably disappear.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
No, I don't know. I'm just like, okay, well, that happens every year, though. At the right when we open, it kind of does that every year. Like, it just came up for me. So I'm sure it'll come up for people. Just keep on trying.
Are you going to submit this year, Brenda?
Am I going to submit? Yes, to you.
Oh.
Are you going to read my galley and fix it all up for me?
Yeah, give it to me. I'll read it.
I know you would. But I don't want to force you to. No.
Oh, yeah. Wait. Oh, yeah, you twisted my arm. Ow.
So I guess no questions for me, right? And the part is over.
Refreshing that over and over to try and put their submissions in. So.
Yes.
Yeah. So can you tell how many people are watching?
138 are on.
Ooh,
now. Yes.
Oh, well, that's
There's
cool.
still some out there.
Yay.
I need one of those mugs. I must buy a mug.
Isn't that the cutest thing?
I got
Yeah.
one.
Oh, for the mentors, she has, hello, my pitches. So you might think about that one.
Ooh.
I want a button. I saw the RWA people had buttons. I want one of the buttons. We do.
Oh, so if you're in the United States, I will mail you a button, but you have to email me your the thing that you live at.
Your street address.
Yes, thank you so much. I'm like so tired, and I have like something weird going on with this eye. So,
Well, it doesn't look weird.
oh, good. I just wear my glasses.
That's
Cover
what
it.
glasses are for.
No.
Okay, Heather's very quiet over there.
I locked out the. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I locked out the pitchwars.org, so people can't go there.
Oh, good. We are transferring everything over to a new server. So Pitchwars is going someplace else. And then Brenda-Drake.com is going to retire and all that this month. So it's partly fun just trying to separate and make Pitchwars stand on its own. We'll still have Pit Mad happening every 4 times a year.
A quarter.
Thank you. That's another word I can't grasp today. So that will still be happening, and that will be on pitchwars.org. There'll be a link to Pit Mad stuff there. So we're working on that and getting that all taken care of. And so we had to take down pitchwars.org and take it off of that other server because it has too much going on. So we'll have a new home, but you guys won't know because it's behind the scenes.
Have any submissions come in yet?
Oh, that would be fun. Oh, Heather, we can't go in. It's not going to Brenda Drake contest. It's going to the 1, 2, and 3.
Right. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, let me see. I'll
Although
go in there.
I'll repeat what Katie said. It's not a race to get your subs in. Take your time. Mentors will read every single one in their inbox. But it is kind of fun to think that some could happen. Ooh, there's one.
If I don't get a submission soon, I'm going to be really angry.
We like cut our I guess our scope down a little this year, so I'm not expecting as many as last year, and definitely not as many as 2015 because I could not handle that.
All right. Does anyone have any other advice or anything they wanted to toss out there while we're
Keep
live?
writing.
If you don't get it in, keep writing, keep working. Your yes will come. You just have to keep working. Yep. Don't give up.
Good one.
Patience is a big part of this.
Yep.
So, patience and persistence.
Okay, so the funniest thing happens when you sign out of your Gmail account. You kind of get kicked out of this. I didn't even think about that. So never mind. And so anyway, I guess we'll say goodnight, right?
Oh, well, we'll say thank you, Brenda, for coming up with this contest to begin with. It is such an incredible opportunity for writers. Thank you, mentors, for all of your time dedicated to this program. Thank you to everyone participating on Twitter. And good luck, guys. What is it Nikki says? Oh, gosh, I'm going to forget. Oh, may the pitch be with you.
Oh, great. Yes, good luck, everybody. And mentors, have fun reading. And thank you for everything that you do. Lee, thank you for all of the
Somebody's
stuff that you
asking how
do.
we add the selections for extra mentors.
What?
How do we add the selections for extra mentors?
There's 2 forms. One is for the regular 4 mentors. And then you go down to you enter that and then submit it and then go down to the next form. And that's for the 2 bonus ones. So there's 2 forms on the page to enter, just like last year. And so I was saying thank you to Lee for everything that she does. And thank you, of course, to Heather, because Pitch Wars wouldn't be able to continue without her. And she works really hard. Let's clap for her.
Yay.
One more thank you to our Twitter captain, Kay Kazul Wolf. Thank you.
Good job today.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, good job.
Awesome.
Yep.
All right, wonderful. So good night, everybody.
Good
I don't know how you guys do this.
night.
You guys
Good
falling out.
Bye.
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 So